Hey there, YouTube. Ghost Jake here with you today. How's your day going today? Mine is going good. I'm just gonna. This is gonna be an announcement that this is probably gonna be my last video on the Exorcist TV show until there is news of a season 2, whether it's renewed or canceled. Whether it's renewed or canceled for season 2, then I'll do a video covering that. But anyway, let's get ready to begin. What? Hopefully you can see all these when I show them. What do all of these movies have in common with each other? Okay, hopefully you saw clearly the movies, right? But here is what they have in common with each other. I couldn't find my copy of The Exorcist 2, so I'm a little sorry about that. To do this little demonstration, but what all these movies have in common with each other is that they all tie in. Grab my remotes for a second. So it's like I have a self-made link. They all tie in to the Exorcist TV show. So this is a very special video because I don't think very many people have done this video. The title of this video is going to be The Exorcist TV Show, The Demon's Origins. Now, let us begin. We start before The Exorcist even began in Dominion, with Dominion, the prequel to The Exorcist. Now, what's significant about that film and how it ties into The Exorcist, the TV show, is that this is the very first time that when Father Merrin was younger and he lost his faith, was his first encounter with the demon Pazuzu, which is also the demon that ends up possessing Reagan in the original The Exorcist, and in The Exorcist the TV show, and Casey. So they all tie in together. But like what? Oh, with The Exorcist, the beginning though, with Dominion, the prequel to The Exorcist, is Father Merrin's encounter with the demon when he was in Africa. When he was in Africa. When he was in Africa doing an archaeological dig. Now in this one, he encounters the demon, in the body of a young boy. And how it kind of starts out is because Father Merrin, at that point when that film was made, is no longer a priest because he lost his faith. When he lost his faith, when I believe it was a German soldier, when he was a priest, killed some people of his parish because one of their soldiers ended up dead. And Father Marin would not turn over the person who did it. And how it goes is, while at the dig in Africa, Father Marin, Father Francis, and a few other people, they discover a church that was buried immediately after it was built. Right? And the reason it was buried immediately after it was built was because it was dedicated to human sacrifices, and it was dedicated to the demon that eventually we get to see in the original Exorcist and the Exorcist TV show. And I know some of you might be thinking, it could just be a regular, they could be different demons. But no, because after the younger Father Marin succeeded in the exorcism, right? After he succeeded in the exorcism, what happened after that is the African American people the local tribe, after they told him, they asked if the demon was gone from the church, and Father Marin said, yes, it is. And they especially told him that they said the demon is your enemy now, and he will pursue you. And it doesn't really matter which copy of this you own, because it still fits in, because The Exorcist, the beginning, and Dominion, the prequel to The Exorcist, are pretty much the same movie. The only thing that's different is in The Exorcist, the beginning, it's a girl. It's the doctor that's possessed as the girl in The Exorcist, the beginning. And in the Dominion, the prequel to The Exorcist, it's a boy who's possessed. Right? Anyway, but yeah, like I said, the chief told Marin after he regained his faith and successfully drove out the demon Pazuzu the first time, he told him that the demon's your enemy and he will pursue you. And he will follow you. And bide his time. Now, I'm sorry I'm not going on to very much detail about each movie. I'm just going to say, I'm trying to say a few words. Right? So after Marin was successful, we move on. Probably about, I would say, in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 years. That's where these two movies come in. Possessed and The Exorcist. The reason why I have Possessed here is because it is based on the true story that inspired William Peter Blatty to write The Exorcist. Now, anyway, is what I can say is that about 15 to 20 years has passed since Father Merrin beat the demon in the prequel to The Exorcist. The only reason why I'm in that neighborhood of a time frame is because Merrin is pretty old by the time in The Exorcist. So I think that time frame is a pretty good time frame, right? But we have a little wrinkle because in The Exorcist, the TV show, because Regan doesn't actually get possessed until she's about in the age of, we'll say, between 12 and 13 in The Exorcist. Maybe she was a little younger. If you know if she was younger than 12 or 13, let me know in the comments below, but I think I'm pretty much in the ballpark. But the Exorcist TV show threw in a little threw in a little bit of a surprise, because it was stated that in one of the episodes that Regan recognized the demon, right, in the show as someone who took, so I'll have see what my hand is. Okay, so we'll go right about there. Okay. Because in the show, Angela Regan let it be known that the demon, while she was at the zoo or the carnival or wherever she was, that the demon actually took her picture when she was 6 or 7 years old, right? Before she was actually possessed in The Exorcist. So the demon actually manifested itself to her before actually possessing her. Anyway, and now we'll go into The Exorcist. The Exorcist. In The Exorcist, we all know who the priests were in The Exorcist. It was the older Father Merrin and Father Damien Karras. Right? Now, how this all began in The Exorcist, the TV show. No, I mean, in The Exorcist was, Regan's mother was an actress. She was busy going off set. To set there and back. So I'm sure Regan had some free time on her hands. And what ended up happening was Regan ended up playing with an Ouija board, and the demon saw that because that was the perfect opportunity for the demon to come in freely and take possession of Regan. But also, what's really interesting is William Peter Blatty put that scene in there from the real case, the 1949 St. Louis exorcism case, put that in the book because the real person actually used an Ouija board too, and he got possessed that way because the research that I did, if I remember correctly, that is the key, is that I believe I have a documentary somewhere called In the Grip of Evil. You can check it out. It's not that long. It's only about an hour and a half at the most. I believe in that documentary it said that that the kid's aunt was a spiritualist. So, and she used Ouija boards too. Now, some time, and now we have, and then you all know what else happens in The Exorcist. Right? Reagan gets possessed. They go to all these different doctors' meetings. all the different doctor meetings. And they can't figure out what's wrong with her because everything seems fine, even though she clearly isn't. And then we get Father Damien Karras. We see Chris McNeil go to see Father Damien Karras and asking about an exorcism, or if he can perform an exorcism on Reagan. And Father Damien is like, I need signs, that she's possessed. I can't just perform an exorcism without the church's consent. And she's like, what signs? And he's like, speaking in a language he hasn't normally studied. Like unreal strength. Unreal strength. And a few other categories. And he's like, but he doesn't exactly know what he will fully need, because this is the first time he's ever experienced something like this. But in the real case in 1949, they actually wrote down. There's a journal. You'll find that in the Grip of Evil, the documentary, that Father Bowden, and they actually did a journal listing all of the accounts of the paranormal activity before they presented it to their archbishop in real life. Anyway, and so Father Damien Karras continues doing his investigation, and they throw holy water on Reagan while doing his investigation, even though it was just tap water. He just lied so he can get a reaction out of the demon. Then we have the exorcism is an all-right exorcism. Eventually, oh yeah, I forgot one thing. While the demon was in his peak, there was a scene in The Exorcist. What really solidified Father Damien Karras to get the approval of the churches. While Reagan was sleeping, I forgot what her name was. One of the people watching Reagan, I don't know if it's her aunt or whoever it is, went and got Father Damien Karras late at night, went into Reagan's room, lifted up her shirt, and just stared at her stomach for a second, or maybe that seemed like a minute. And then the words, "Help me," came up in her skin. Right? And so the exorcism was pretty much a success, and their archbishop said, like, they pretty much said to Father Damien Karras, you will assist and help with the exorcism, but you will not do it. And then they said, what about Father Marin? And so they go and find Father Merrin since he came back. Right? And Father Merrin just grabbed the piece of paper, put it in his pocket, and then pretty much left to go perform the exorcism, because he didn't need to look at the piece of paper. It was probably still in his brain that the demon wanted revenge on Father Merrin. And so they're preparing the exorcism, and then Father Karras is like, I think I should tell you how many there are. And it sounds like there's 2 or 3 demons. And Father Merrin's like, no, there's only one. And so the exorcism is beginning. It seems like a pretty big power struggle. What's going on, right? Kind of seems like a big stalemate to me. Not much is happening. And then during the exorcism, the demon gets into Father Damien Karras' head by pretending to be his dead mother that died. Seems kind of familiar to me. Oh yeah, because that exact same thing happened in the Exorcist TV show with Father Thomas. But anyway, as the exorcism continues, Father Damien Karras and Father Merrin are continuing with their exorcism of the demon Pazuzu. And then we have Father Karras leaves for a little bit, and Father Merrin is facing Pazuzu on his own. And then what we see when Father Karras comes back is Merrin is dead. He is pretty much keeled over. So in a sense, the demon did get his revenge for losing against Merrin. Right? And gets his revenge for losing against Merrin. And then so what happens is Father Damien Karras makes the ultimate sacrifice. He grabs the demon and he starts punching the demon. I guess he didn't really think about that because he's technically punching Reagan, even though he's punching the demon, but still. And then he says, come into me. And the demon accepts his offer and goes into him. And then Father Merrin, you know how the exorcist ended? He jumps down the stairs and pretty much breaks his neck. And that is it with the exorcist. But no! Because Pazuzu is still hanging on. That is why we have The Exorcist 3. Right? Now, what happens in The Exorcist 3? There's this guy. He's pretty much in the mental hospital. In the psych ward of the hospital. Right? And some weird stuff starts happening. And the original cop from the original movie. So we'll say this takes place. I'm not very good at time frame, so we'll say. I'd probably say 5 years at the most. I'd probably say anywhere between 2 and 5 years. That is my guess when that takes place. right? But anyway, it turns out the person in the psych ward is, in fact, Father Damien Karras from The Exorcist. And what ends up happening in The Exorcist 3 is that Kinderman and Father Morning end up doing investigation, doing the exorcism. And there's a point where the demon is talking to Kinderman, the cop, and the demon explains to Kinderman that he pretty much rebuilt Father Damien Karras rebuilt him kind of and kept him back alive so the demon would still have a host. But the thing is it the same demon? Or I'd like to think it's the same demon. That way all the films tie in together with the Exorcist TV show. And then what happens is they start an exorcism and there's not much is going on. And then how that works out is pretty much Father Kinderman shoots Father Damien Karras and kills him. Kills him this time. No bringing him back. Kills him. And the demon is gone once again. Then we jump from when Reagan was possessed. We jump probably, let's say, I think it might have been 30 or 40 years, because I'm not exactly sure on that, but I just know Reagan has 2 teenage daughters in the time The Exorcist, the TV show, begins. And we all know, since the series just got over last week, we know pretty much that, we pretty much know how how everything happened. The demon possessed Casey with The Exorcist, the TV show. Start off with The Exorcist, the TV show. And then we had Father Marcus and Father Thomas doing their exorcisms on Casey. How it goes, not very successful. And then in The Exorcist, and then it started looking like it was going to be more successful. And then we had Angela make a deal with the demon. Note, when I said Angela made a deal, she made a deal that the demon could possess her again if it would leave Casey alone. So she made a deal with it, right? And then the demon possessed Angela again, because the reason why she made that deal in the first place is because during the exorcism, it looked like the demon was going to kill Casey. And then we had Father Thomas perform the exorcism. And we had Father Thomas perform the exorcism on possessed Angela, but not fully integrated Angela, because if she's integrated, then it becomes a union and the demon gets to stay. And then we had the result of the show, which I'm still hoping. And the show is very good. And so anyway, this is Ghost Jake signing off on The Exorcist, the TV show, one final time. Anyway, I hope you have a good day or good night, depending where you are. See you later. Ghost this, and the name of this title is The Exorcist, the TV show, The Demon's Origins. See you later.